Welcome to FBB Forum. I'm very pleased to welcome the beautiful, newly minted IFBB Women's Physique Pro, Emilie Schmitt. Emilie won her pro card at NPC Nationals just a few weeks ago in Orlando, and she lives in Michigan. Welcome to the podcast, Emilie.
Sorry. Hello.
No problem.
Quite cold up here. Quite cold now.
It actually got cold here in Tampa too, surprisingly. And it's been quite a warm winter. It's kind of a nice change for us.
But
um,
down in Orlando, I actually was fortunate enough that whole week I was there. We had about 80 and sunny the entire time.
oh, I know that was really nice weather for December. Yeah, nice change for you, I bet.
Oh, of course, it's been cloudy and 30 some degrees here.
Oh, yeah, that's not much fun.
Not at all. Not at all.
So my first questions I'm going to ask about how you got started in bodybuilding, and I was curious, did you have an athletic or sports background before you started in the sport?
Yeah, actually, I was that kid that I was constantly doing a sport. There wasn't a season going by where I wasn't doing like some softball in the beginning, like track, cross country, did basketball for a little while.
Hmm.
I honestly ran a lot more, surprisingly, for doing what I do now. I ran a lot in high school. I did a lot of cross country and a lot of track, but that gave me that discipline, kind of that cardio regimen and just the idea of, okay, we lift on these days and we do cardio on these days. And you get that emphasis a little bit on the diet, just a little bit in high school, but you're still young. You're eating whatever you want.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
yeah, exactly. And but as you go on, they start to kind of stress a little bit more about eating your protein, and then you kind of start doing. I started doing my own research because when I was 14, I found out about Dana Lynn Bailey, and I was like, I
Oh,
want, I want to look like her. So
oh, I think that she's a role model for many people, and most of the people I've talked to already for this podcast. Yeah, she's amazing.
exactly. And I mean it's really this age group is kind of primed for that because I'm 26 now, and when she was coming up, I was just that 14, 15, kind of just coming into my own and figuring myself out as a teenager. And I
Yeah,
her and I like what she's doing, and I liked her image and just how she didn't care, and she was going to do what she wanted to do. I loved it. I don't know.
I understand. I think, yeah, she's really awesome. I think it's interesting it seems like with teenage boys now, the Chris Bumstead is kind of like that, the equivalent. And he's like really well known amongst teenage boys now, which is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he's bringing in so many. I see so many kids that'll have his T-shirt or something at the gym, and I
Hmm.
went to Y down in Grand Rapids recently, a way bigger gym than I'm used to, and there was a lot of kids in there that were probably 18, 19 years old. It was really a big change from when I started.
That's really interesting. Wow. That's cool that he's gotten so well known.
I mean, he's
Uh,
got his last photos for the Olympias have gotten over 1 billion likes on Instagram, so
really? Wow. That's incredible. Wow. He's like the new Arnold.
yeah.
I was curious, how did you get started in bodybuilding and who convinced you to do your first contest?
That was my coach that I have now. We've been together now for about 4 years, and he saw where I was going and my shape and my physique and everything, and I was powerlifting a lot and really pushing the weights and the food, and he kind of just saw the potential, but he was like, "There's going to be a lot of work with you, kind of getting that self discipline and all that." And at the
Mm.
time, I was working a lot, but then I was partying a lot. I was just trying to relieve myself of all that stress and everything in a bad way. And
Yeah.
I lift, but besides lifting 6 days a week, my diet was crap, my sleep was crap, just
Mm.
not nothing was put together the way it should be. So
I understand.
right. And I really needed that regimen per se, and that kind of goal just to get me somewhere with doing something I really enjoyed, which I knew I liked bodybuilding a lot, but I
Hmm.
knew it wasn't going to make me any money quite yet. So
Yeah, I understand.
tough gamble to kind of just go all out and do that. And when
Yeah.
you're working a dead end job and you don't have an education quite yet, and
Uh-huh.
I don't know, it's hard to do when you're young for sure.
Yeah, I think so because it's an expensive sport for, first of all. Yeah. I was curious when did you kind of first feel your first kind of aha, I belong here in the gym kind of moment? Because I do think that many people feel intimidated by gyms.
They really do. And I feel bad because that gets keeps a lot of my friends out of the gym that
Mm,
don't ever go. And I think honestly, when I was a teenager, I started going with my mom to the regular gym, and I started realizing I was lifting a lot of more weight than like a lot of the women in there were
mhm.
usually. And
Yeah.
it didn't really dawn on me until I was probably in there for about 6 months or so, and I was like, wow, there's really no one in here kind of, going as hard. And that's
Mm,
when I realized I was like, well, maybe I should just keep doing it. And if it gets me, the to the physique, like I still was chasing that Dana and Bailey, the bigger shoulders and the six pack and the legs, and so I just
yeah.
that as like 16 when you have no idea. But way back then, I'm saying that's when I was fine then. It's I was absolutely hooked like right from that. So
That's great. No, that's really good. And to feel comfortable there and that's important for a bodybuilder, I think. So you need to be able to feel comfortable in the gym and I think but it sounds like you kind of felt comfortable from the get-go. It didn't take over time.
yeah, I think the only thing that got me in the beginning, very beginning when I started going, was I kept thinking I was in that camp of people that think that everyone's looking at you and whatever. And the more I started going, I realized like, I'm not focused on any of these people, and I guarantee most of them are just doing their thing and doing whatever they want to do at the gym. They don't care what I'm doing. So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. And that's true. I think that's true of most people. So, I was curious, was it intimidating for you to get up on stage in a bikini for the first time? And I think it would be kind of nerve-wracking, but do you still kind of feel nervous today on stage?
um the only thing that makes me nervous now is I I've been changing the suit cuts to a little smaller than I started out with. And
Yeah, sure.
for me, just even the beginning when I started wearing the actual bikinis, because they are much different than like something you wear at the beach. They are a lot smaller in, like the bottoms are just a lot smaller coverage all around.
That's
And
true. Yeah.
it took me a while to kind of just be comfortable uh kind of putting it on and moving around and
Uh-huh.
everything. And
Yeah.
I actually like I got the suit very early on in my very first prep. So I started wearing a lot more, and my coach emphasized he wanted me to be comfortable wearing it in front of other people because he's like, you're gonna be up there. So he
Yeah.
did he did a really good job working me into that. And then by the time it was show day, when you look that good and you're dehydrated and it's your first time making that transformation, like
Yeah.
I said to another group, they asked me the same question, and I told them I was like, as soon as you get that tan on and you get your makeup and your hair done and you have the suit on, and even some girls when they put the heels on too, it's that moment you're like, I'm ready. I want people to see me. I'm ready to be out there.
Yeah, I understand that. You put so much hard work into leading to that point. And so, yeah, I bet, yeah, and you want to be up there and show what you got. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's that's like what you put all this money and time into it. Why put it down at that moment? But that being said, I did help a few girls at their first show this year,
Hmm.
and the one girl was like me. She was very excited to be out there, but the other girl was completely opposite. She was so nervous to be up there in a bikini for the first time. She's older. She doesn't really show herself like that ever. Even at the beach. So
Yeah, I understand.
yeah, I had to do a lot of talking up and just kind of telling her the same thing. Like, you put all this time in, you put so much work in, you dieted so hard. Like, just get out there. You're gonna be out there for 2 minutes tops. You're
Yeah, that's true. Just do it. Yeah, just yeah. And it'll be over. It may seem like forever when you're up there, but yeah, it'll be over soon. Uh,
soon as you walk off, I don't know. To me, it always feels like it was the blink of an eye, really, every time. Even nationals, I walk off and I'm like, wow, that was quick. That was,
Really?
yeah. Just,
That's kind of good though. Yeah, because you
sure.
don't want to dwell on. Yeah, yeah, totally understand that. And I could see where it for some people it would feel like it takes forever because you're, I don't know, like I said, you're leaning up to that moment, so it's just like a all that anticipation, and then you're finally there. So, yeah, no, I understand that. No, it's good that, and it's good that you feel comfortable doing it too. Um, I wanted to ask you a few questions about family and friends. I was curious, what do your parents think about your fitness journey, and are they supportive of it?
Yeah, they're actually, my dad is, this is the first time he's kind of been all in about it now. He was
Mhm.
a little standoff at first. He didn't understand why, why do all this to not make money for so long, or not really have a lifelong goal in place. He's an accountant, so it was hard for him
Oh,
to
I understand.
very big numbers guy, very big type B personality. uh
Sure.
yeah, he just had a hard time. My mom was the one, like I said, she's been taking me to the gym since she was working at one when she was in her 20s, and I was, maybe 5 or 6 years old. That's, I was hanging out in the gym still. So it's
Oh,
like,
that's terrific.
yeah, for her, she's like, this has all just kind of come full circle. So
That's really cool. So yeah, I bet having you being in the gym so young probably helped you feel comfortable there too later in life, do you think?
I think so. I honestly, seeing even the bigger guys in there, when I see them, I kind of would just more of a, that was someone to say hi to and kind of maybe get some knowledge from, versus, feeling intimidated or anything. Cause I knew they were nice. They
Mm,
were talking to me as a little kid, super happy and nice and picking me up, whatever. So
that's cool.
I saw these guys there.
That's awesome.
they're all big softies when you meet them, for sure.
Oh yeah, no, there's so many nice folks in the sport for sure. I was curious about, do you have some non-bodybuilding friends, and are they supportive of your fitness journey too, or do they not quite understand it, or what's the deal?
I would say I would say 90% of my friends, yeah, they are not they don't even go to the gym or anything. So it
Yeah,
is all, they're honestly, at this point in my career, they're all very just astounded and respectful. And even my manager at work, he understands how, I go do all that stuff for him, and then I go do all my stuff for this,
yeah,
for free of pay. And I told him, I was like, I love it, dude, and I want to see myself maybe go pretty far. So you got to put that work in besides what might give you a paycheck and cover the bills.
yeah, that's true. It's like it is interesting being, now that you're a pro, there's maybe even more money going out than coming in because it seems like, there's more travel involved. There's more, to pay for your suit and the tan and the makeup and everything. It just gets so expensive after a while, and the paying for a coach and everything too.
Yeah, that's a big thing, is honestly the coaching. But I wouldn't give anything else to have a coach that I see, almost every single day at the gym, because he owns the place, and he
Hmm.
just wants to be involved and face to face. I know there's a lot of people doing online coaching and everything now with really good people, even with Shelby Starnes, but I
Hmm.
why I'd kind of just go old school, and I need to see my coach all the time.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that makes sense. That's unusual to have an in-person coach like that. So that is kind of nice.
Yeah, we're pretty old school, that's for sure. He was bodybuilding back in the 90s,
Uh-huh.
and he's 54 now and still looks, he looks really good. So I really trust his idea for longevity. He's not pushing me to explode and just kind of burn bright and fast and burn out. He wants me
Yeah,
to just marathon it and go slow and be go the pace we're going right now. So
that's terrific. That's really good.
he
Um,
he wants the best for me, for sure.
That's really good. Yeah. I did actually. My next few questions are about prep and coaching, and what is your coach's name? And do you have? I was wondering if you have a posing coach too.
His name is Roy Bates,
Okay.
and owns Pure Energy Fitness in Saginaw, Michigan.
Okay.
And he's actually my posing coach too, because that's one of his specialties is he's a just I don't know, he's a fantastic poser. He's like I said, he's 54, but he still moves great. He'll do stuff on the floor, he'll do all the poses that I do, he can
Uh-huh.
do.
Really? That's great. That's really good.
It's hilarious too because he'll coach the bikini girls, but
Uh-huh.
he'll do all their poses.
Oh, really? He'll
He
get his
loves.
glutes showing and everything, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
he'd
He'll
have to wear like a long wig or something, and like have the hair down the back. So.
he'd lift it up if we did that for sure.
That's awesome.
Oh, I
Um,
should say his wife, Rida Bates, she is my nutrition coach.
okay.
So she'll be the one kind of just focusing. She's a registered, she's got her degree in being a dietitian, a dietitian and all that. So she
Mm,
just focuses on that for me. And then Roy focuses on all the lifting and the cardio and the posing. So
that's great. Um, I was wondering, what advice can you give to aspiring pros who are seeking a good coach?
I would say just to try. I know it's really hard, especially if you're in a smaller town or just somewhere that's not with the scene so much or doesn't have a good uh, privately owned gym. But just try your best to get somebody in person, somebody that
Yeah.
you're even if you see them, once a week or something. It's just way more beneficial, I think, than having someone constantly online, because even this relationship where we can talk face to face is so much more than if we were just, texting each other the whole time.
Yeah, that's a good advice, actually, and that is good to have an in-person coach. I
This
think
would
it's
be
easy.
the next step too, is someone that you can just video chat with or something.
Sure, yeah, but I think in person makes sense because although you can get instant feedback with this kind of format too, but being able to see your full body and making suggestions in person, and yeah, I don't know. Do you think it makes you feel more accountable to the coach to
Yeah,
make sure that
sure.
yeah,
Even if I was lying through my teeth to Roy, he can see right on my body, and we see each other all the time. He can see what's going on if I'm eating something extra or having not enough water, whatever it is.
sure, yeah, that is really good. That's good advice too. I was curious, what is the toughest aspect of competition prep for you?
For me, it's definitely the cardio, and I think it has to do a lot with the fact that I work on my feet because I'm a line cook over at a sushi restaurant.
Oh
So
yeah? Oh wow.
yeah, I'm on my feet about 6, 7 hours at a time. So to do that and then to wake up the next day and get up and do your cardio and sometimes doing it towards the end there doing the cardio at night as well. That's just it's grueling on your feet, that's for sure. Like,
Yeah, be kind of exhausting, I bet.
oh, of course, yeah. I mean, you go to bed really nicely. You'll just fall right asleep.
Wow, that's really cool that you do that though. How long have you been doing that at the sushi restaurant?
I've been over there for almost 3 years now. I got there during the when everything happened with the pandemic, and I unfortunately lost my one job. But I was fortunate enough to pick up another one right away. I think I was only unemployed for a few weeks or something, less
Hmm,
than a month. So
that's not bad. That's really cool. And do you
it's
get free food too?
oh, of course, yeah, always eating well.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna say I've been cooking. I've been in the kitchen honestly since I was 16, but
Wow.
I've been cooking since I was probably 18 years old. Yeah,
Do you cook and prep your food in advance for your bodybuilding diet and such?
yeah. It makes it honestly like with me the fact that I'll cook all this stuff at work when I come home and I have to cook like a whole pan of chicken and get some rice cooking and get some vegetables in. It's that's a 30-minute process for me. It's so quick and easy for me.
Yeah, especially doing it for a living, I think. Yeah. Um, I was curious, like when you're in your diet prep, and what food item kind of lingers in your head waiting for the prep to end? Because I bet, I just personally think bodybuilding diets would be really tough to contend with.
I would say the biggest thing for me is, and I'm lucky I don't have it at work, is I'm a big fan of baked goods and like cookies and all that. Like
Yeah,
got a huge sweet tooth for sure. So that's like the main thing at the end is I just either want some bread, just some solid bread, or like some good pastry, some sort of pastry. That's what I'm
that's great.
thinking.
So yeah, at least that when your show finally ends, you can probably indulge a little bit. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah, I do need to calm down a little bit here after the holidays for sure.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, there's too much temptation in the holidays for sure. Now you mentioned about my next few questions are about work, and you mentioned about uh, having a job as a line cook. Is that a full time or part time job?
I'm trying to make it part-time right now. It's just hard because we're a little short-handed. Because I would love to do that part-time while I get all my stuff together to start training people myself,
Mm,
hopefully. Because I know if
yeah,
I start doing that, I've got a job, at my gym anytime that I wanted. So
that's
if
great.
that would be a great way to step away from the kitchen a little bit, get off my feet and be able to be in the gym a little bit more and be in that atmosphere. So I'm
That's
trying to
great.
get one foot out the door. So
I Yeah, I totally understand that. Would you try to go for like any like certifications for personal training, that kind of thing, or?
oh, yeah, I would love to just get like a what are those, the NASM, the NASM certificate or the ACE one. There's plenty of programs out there right now for that kind of stuff. So that
Sure.
was nice. I can't lie though, the cooking job does pay well right now for being what it is. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? Like just
Yeah.
the performance or whatever. So
Mm, that's really cool. Um, and you said you're in Saginaw, right?
yep. And then I work up in Midland, so that's just like a little bit northwest of here. So
Okay, cool. Yeah. Um, I was curious, is it tough for you to balance your work life and your home life and bodybuilding? Because it just bodybuilding such a 24/7 sport. So I just think it would be a little bit tough with your time management. But how do you juggle that?
Um, I do it by usually not. I don't have like a big. I don't have that big of a personal life. Like I have.
Sure.
I have like a partner I see, and I have my best friend, but I'm not. I don't worry about going out and partying and seeing people all the time, and I'm
Sure.
not a big crowds person. So I usually, for me, it's honestly just it's work, gym, and home. That's usually it. There's not too much else going on.
Sure. I understand that. I think that's true of a lot of bodybuilders just because staying away from the temptation of drinking and eating too much and a, and if you really want to be a champion bodybuilder, you have to put in the time, of course, too. So yeah, I find that a lot with bodybuilders I've talked to.
The biggest thing I think is when I go out and even when I travel now, I feel like I'm away from my resources.
Hmm.
Just like having water readily available, having any of your meals, your food, your supplementation, whatever. I like having that all right there.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, no, that is kind of tough, I bet.
Especially when you're on prep, you're just so OCD about getting this, and this done every single day at this time. You know.
Yeah, yeah. When you travel for a show, you're really out of your element and
Yeah,
living out of a hotel room too, which is kind of tough.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Um, uh, I was curious about competition and when and where do you hope to compete again? And I know you're due for your pro debut, so I hope you'll come to Tampa to for your pro debut. But I was thinking since you're in Michigan, probably Chicago Pro maybe is the closest for you. But where do you hope to compete next?
I was thinking about just because I really like the affiliation and I haven't been to one of their shows yet, is I would look into maybe looking for a Wings of Strength competition. Because
Yeah,
I don't necessarily mind traveling for a show. Just now I know that I have to go like a good week and a half in advance to kind of just get myself acclimated and get the water off. But I
Hmm.
probably would look a little more towards it's more time related. I'm just looking at like the end of next year. I
Yeah.
don't really have anything planned yet.
Hmm.
Um, but if I can get the funds together and get myself mentally ready, I would love to do a show at the end of next year.
That's great. Yeah, that'd be great. And yeah, that'll give you time to prepare too, and yeah, that would be awesome. I was curious, what feedback are you getting from the judges in terms of where to improve your physique? And I just want to say your abs are kind of remarkable, I think. So really kind of a signature body part or body or muscle group for you.
Thank you. It seems to be coming that way. And then from what I could hear from just the commentators was the back for sure. They said the back was very much a dominating factor. But
Yeah.
I haven't actually, I need to get my feedback yet from the judges.
Hmm.
I didn't actually think to email them yet and get that, but I did watch the live stream a couple times, and the biggest things I heard was like I didn't even think about it, but the biggest thing that they talked about was my suit color out of anything.
Oh
They
yeah.
said, yeah, the suit color, they just said like it looks great alone, but if you're gonna go with those lighter colors, they said your tan has to just be, as dark as it can be.
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah. I did. You had I think it was last year. You had a red suit. I thought that looked really good on you. And was that at nationals also
Yeah, that
last
was
year?
actually the same show, and that red suit's okay. It was a little bit of a cheaper one, so now I'm starting to miss some rhinestones on there, and the face was actually a little bigger on there than I thought it was, so it was kind of looser than I would want it to be for sure.
Oh, sure. I understand. That's cool. That's kind of interesting though that you got comments about the suit. But the suit is important, I think. Yeah, just to make sure it fits your body color and your body shape and everything. But um,
It's always important to listen to what they say is because they like they said they're like we're just saying these things for when these people move on to the pro shows they know what to do. So I was
mm,
like, all right, we definitely need a darker suit and bring up the conditioning, that's for
mhm,
sure. you
mhm.
know next level conditioning, and then definitely bring up the biceps, the legs, and then probably the chest a little bit. It's
Mhm.
just bad, but it's definitely not as pronounced as they would probably want it to be.
Sure, I understand that. Yeah. Um, what is your favorite muscle group and what is your least favorite? That I'm just curious about that.
Um, I really like my abs, but they do just like, they only show up really well when I hit that like probably 6 week mark or so. That's when they really show up. But
Mhm.
throughout the year, I've always liked my back. My back, like even from a teenager, that was probably my favorite part. That just every time I did anything, that's like what kind of gets a pump and blows up, and
That's great.
that's it's kind of just what's developed over the years. I've looked at my pictures of my back and I'm like, you think every year, how much can it really change? And then you see and you're like, wow, okay, there's definitely different things happening.
That's great. Your back is really good, and it seems like you've got more width in your lats now this year versus last year.
Yeah, definitely a little bit more size in the back. I would say definitely in the legs. And then I tried to put a little bit more size in the arms, but I feel like every time I just, if I bring up my shoulders or anything else, it's like those arms just they're always gonna get out angled by something.
Yes, I understand that. Yeah. Um, that so you'll be working with your coach to kind of working on it to improve some of those body parts, you think?
Yeah, like I told him with the legs, it's just we really got to get into that zone of that high volume, kind of just it feels like those muscles are gonna just rip off the bone almost, kind of that
Yeah.
versus heavy weights. I don't think the heavy weights really help you grow versus just that high volume.
Yes, I understand that. And then you can't feel like you can't walk for a while.
It means you did something right.
Um, I was curious now that you've turned pro, especially. Have you been getting more attention from fans on social media? And I just feels like it sometimes would be hard to keep up with the social media pressures.
I've had a few more followers this year. I don't know exactly what happened last year, but for some reason a few of my photos, like the ab ones, went viral from
Mhm.
the or went I mean not viral, but they went a little bit crazy on Instagram and that got me a lot of followers, but
Really?
now we've kind of steady. Since the show though, it's kind of nice to see the people that I know have been following me for a while. They
Uh-huh.
have been constantly messaging and just like it's really cool to see the progression and how far you've come and I'm kind of excited to see you go and that's the aim for me is I'm kind of more of I'm trying to be more interactive per se with my Instagram and
Hmm.
like try to keep those people along that have been here for a few years. You know, I'm not gonna just fall off and stop lifting for some reason and stop competing. No,
Yeah,
things are gonna keep along for sure.
that's great. I, I unfortunately some of the bodybuilders have to deal with trolls and haters and stuff. Have you had to deal much with that?
I did last year a lot, and it's really weird because the biggest thing for me is it always had to do with like my hair. When I
Hmm.
had the shorter hair, that's when I had a lot more of the trolls and stuff. And people can say what they want, but for me, if I see a comment on there that's like really not necessarily offensive, like I know they're trolling or I know they're just trying to provoke, I'll just delete it. You know, it's like
Yeah,
nothing happened. So
yeah,
either
delete and block
way.
them.
Yeah, give them
Yeah,
no attention, anything like that.
yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, you don't. Yeah, don't. Those folks don't really deserve your the waste of your time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I tell more of these girls that will they want I understand they want to fight back, they want to, do stuff about it, but it's like the biggest thing that you can do is just honestly, like I said, it's like ignoring a bully or something, just delete it or just don't even say anything, whatever. Do
yeah.
what you do, yeah.
That's a good advice, though. I think that's good. That probably the best thing to do is to block them and delete them. Yeah,
Don't give them any sort of attention, any interaction. Yeah.
yeah, because that's what they're seeking anyway. They want the attention and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was curious, what would you do to improve the sport of bodybuilding? And if you're in a leadership position, how would you make the sport better?
um well, just from my point of view, I would just try to get more into working with people that are just not even trying to necessarily bodybuild quite yet, but get into the gym and like just get their life together and get their like what do I want to say here, get their routine put together. But bodybuilding wise, like now that I'm a pro, I would love to be able to start doing more guest posing and interacting with those people at the local shows, at the lowest levels and
Yeah,
kind of get excited and tell them like I understand where you're at and if you keep going and if you're patient, these people you see that are on Instagram and everything, like things will happen and you can get a lot closer to that. But the worst thing is that these people that come to these guest posing, these pros, is that I don't see them talking enough to the young, to the starting competitors and
hmm.
asking them how they're feeling and making sure they're confident. And just like the biggest person I've seen do that was Miss Olympia now, Andrea Shaw.
Yeah.
She stopped me after a local show when I was, I hadn't even done a national show yet. She just stopped me and asked me if I was going to keep doing this and if I liked it and everything, And so I was like,
Oh,
this is
great.
what people need to do. They need to start talking to these younger competitors and making them feel seen.
That's great. Isn't she? She's from Detroit, I think, isn't she?
Oh yeah, I actually went to one of her posing clinics down in Madison Heights when I was doing right before I started prep this year, and so it was great to see her again because she took it seriously, and she ran me through the gauntlet for sure. She had me
That
sweating.
that's so cool. That's terrific. Yeah, I
That's
remember.
great. Sorry. She was working with all of us just local competitors. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. I do recall when she won or she got second place, I think, in nationals in women's physique a few years back, and then she's gone on to the top of women's bodybuilding, of course, for the last few years. But I bet she's a good role model, and I think she's a good ambassador for the sport too. So, but I agree with you on that. I would like to see more of that, and I think you would be great with guest posing too. I hope that maybe Roy could help you, get some of those gigs too. That would be kind of nice.
That'd be the next step, definitely, is to kind of get some sort of little portfolio together and maybe message some. He knows the people that run one of the shows here in Michigan in Flushing, so we
Hmm.
might try to get hold of them and get in on that and maybe do a guest posing there. That would be really nice.
That's terrific. That would be really cool. Yeah.
Oh, good opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I was curious, do you feel like you suffer from body dysmorphia? Because I know that seems like a lot of bodybuilders do because of the big changes you go through from off season to being kind of stage lean. And if so, how do you kind of cope with it?
Um, I try to think about the fact that this is kind of an important phase of when you come off of competing is your body is recovering, and it's the only way you're gonna get bigger and kind of grow for next year in hopes of getting uh more muscle tissue put on you for the stage and everything. So
Hmm.
you kind of need to start thinking more in the long term. Like prep, you're kind of thinking every single day, one at a time to get to your goal. But when you're in the off season and you're eating all this food and you're bloated and you're full of water weight and everything, it's this is all just part of the recovery process.
Yeah, that's true. So do you,
So I mean, it's important to feel full in the off season. It's you got to think about that as like that's the goal.
it's good for your health too, because you really can't really be lean year round because it's not, I would think it would be bad for your health too.
Yeah, it's not very sustainable, and you're not
No.
gonna grow.
Do you feel kind of comfortable with those changes though, or do you find yourself like, because I know a lot of competitors do, they pine for those leaner days, and but I think it's important to feel good with kind of both stages and everything in between, all those phases.
Yeah, yeah. I just I do feel when I am in my bigger phases in the off season, I don't want to go out in like risque clothing, and I don't want to reveal my body as much on Instagram, and I'll start posing more with like shirts on and tank tops, trying to still feel comfortable in my skin and feel just kind of big and powerful.
Mm-hmm.
um but I try to not necessarily go back and look at the prep photos in a way of like, oh man, I miss it. It's just more of like, you
Yeah.
know, hey, in 4 months we're gonna be right back to that spot. So
Yeah, that's good way of looking at it. And yeah, that's true. That's good advice too.
I mean, the older you get, these cycles just it seems like they just go faster and faster. Like you're 1 minute you're on stage and you're as lean as you can be and dried out, and then 2 months later you're filled out and 20 pounds heavier or something.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, time does go by too fast as you get older too.
Oh yeah,
Unfortunately.
a
Uh,
year doesn't ever seem that long anymore. So
I know, I know. Yeah. Uh, yeah, yeah. Um, I did have just one more question for you. Is there anything that I should have asked you but neglected to ask?
not that not that I can think of. It's me, so I know I go off a little bit anyways on your questions a little extra, so I'm
Oh, I
probably not.
appreciate that. Oh, no, that's cool. Um, well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to go ahead and include your Instagram now in the description on
Oh,
YouTube, and then I'll include your coach as well. And and but I really appreciate you coming on board, and well, I'll probably get this posted up to YouTube relatively soon. But thanks again, though.
yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Emily. Take care.
Just go ahead and send me that link too when you put it up, okay?
Yes, no, I will definitely.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right.